Martin is a technology executive with 25 years of experience providing leadership, developing and implementing strategic processes, and deploying new products to streamlining services and improving growth. He is known for his experience in recruiting, finance, and technology. Let's welcome Martin on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom. Hi, Martin. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course, I am doing well. How's your Tuesday coming along?
Better than Monday.
Mondays usually suck, especially because you've had a nice weekend and you're just like, ah, do I really want to go back to work? But then again, life doesn't stop. So,
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly.
So, Martin, can you tell us about your company? What gave you the idea that you wanted to start your company?
Absolutely. So, I've been an entrepreneur since actually I started in high school and kind of bounced around. I did work for a few companies, but it always felt like my piece of a company. The owners always trusted me with whatever the project might have been. So, um, after my last project, which I was a consultant on, I was actually looking for an advisory role, and I had an extremely hard time finding it. So, talked to a few of my old partners from another business that we had a venture with that we sold and parted ways, and we came up with what's today known as Boardsi.
Okay, so as in like you identified a gap. Okay, that's very interesting. Sorry, you were saying something?
Yeah, so basically, since I couldn't find the solution, we just basically created it. And it definitely hasn't been the easiest task in the beginning, but it's been it's been very exciting, and accelerated growth has been tremendous in the last year.
Wow. So as in like because you couldn't find something, you decided, okay, why not? Why don't I create a solution myself? Which is as in like I could definitely see where the entrepreneurship comes in, because as in like finding the right moment at the right time and then creating a product itself is definitely something that people usually think of doing, but when it actually comes to actually implementing it, they just like take a step back. So hats off to you. You started your own company and actually created that into action. So it's quite impressive.
Thank you.
Of
And
course. So as in like how sorry, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. Ask away.
So I was just as in like asking how as in like how has the pandemic affected your company? Just like curious.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a great question. So we were actually like in a very high growth right when it hit. And one of the questions, since we niche in recruiting for board positions, it's pretty very nichey. You know, we don't really go after full time positions for CEOs. We really love building out boards of advisors, and boards of directors. So it was very nichey. And a lot of before COVID hit, a lot of the companies were asking for executives within their area. They like to have in-person meetings. So when the COVID originally hit, we actually it slowed down. Like the first couple months, were really unsure, and it wasn't just us; it was overall world and corporate world that really wasn't sure what was going to happen, what's going to happen next. But then once things really started picking up in the corporate world, people realize that your business is still open, especially if it's an online business. Um, then people all of a sudden also realize something we've been pointing out for a while is don't focus on geographic area of your advisors, but actually focus on the skill set that they're bringing to a table. So actually, COVID did help us kind of overcome what we've been telling people, and people were like, "Yeah, you're right. Everything can be done, over like we're doing over a video, over Zoom, over Google Meet. There's so many call solutions." And it really opened up a lot of windows, just like a lot of businesses, are having their employees work remotely. It basically favored a lot of our executives that were talented, but maybe were out of the area, and all of a sudden they can now join boards that are in different areas or even different countries.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's as in like usually companies find it hard to adapt. But then again, at first we were like, okay, COVID's gonna be here for 3 months, then 6 months, then it went on for 9 months. Now it's always been a year, more than a year. So I think as in like companies can't really just sit there and watch and wait for
Yeah,
it to go. So I think adapting and constantly improving and iterating based on the constant situation is something that takes companies a long way. And it worked out for you in the end because it definitely favored you because what you were trying to tell your customers from the
yeah,
start actually hit them in a negative bad, like with the pandemic and everything, and they didn't really have a choice but to adapt. So I mean, I guess it worked out for your
yeah.
company specifically.
Yes, we did.
So are you, yeah. So are you guys hiring? Are you looking for specific roles? As in, like, considering how open-minded you guys are towards like global hiring and everything, and working like remotely and everything. Are there any open roles? Are there any specific skills that you're looking for within your company?
So a lot of times, what we do is we will put up if we're still looking for a certain executive for a certain company, we might put up some of that on some of the job boards, looking for a specific executive. But usually, we find executives within our network. You know, since we've been at this for a while, we have a pretty rich network of executives. But we're always open to bringing more, especially worldwide, internationally, because some companies that might be international companies, but they might be looking at going into US, so they're going to want a US advisor, or vice versa. You know, we've had a bunch of US based companies that are going into UK, France, expanding internationally, and they want somebody from that country to help them grow, since obviously they're not from there. And it's always good to have an executive that's there living and understands how the market works.
Of course, but how do you tap into that network is the question.
As in, how do we find executives?
As in, like, how, for example, if someone I know would want to be a part of the executive to work for a company like that, how would they get themselves into that network where they would be given a chance to be a part of a company like that?
Absolutely. So what we have is basically at Boardsi, we have a website. Executives basically schedule a call with our onboarding team that goes through a interview process. We obviously get their resume, or what we like to call board documents, and then we basically go on the matching factor, which we try to match up their skill sets with the companies that are currently looking for boards. But at the same time, we're every day, we have a team on the B2B side, and we're talking with companies that are in the process of building boards. And that includes anywhere from 2 to 3, sometimes as many as 7 advisors. And so that's, both on the executive side and on the company side, we're always adding companies, always adding executives, and always trying to do the matchup. So as far as finding a board position, you just simply have to go to our website and schedule a call and meet our onboarding team.
Okay, sounds good. So definitely if someone wants to be a part of an executive network, this might be a good way. And like you've started your own business, so could definitely speak to this. How do you think you can be successful at starting own like your own business? I mean, yes, there's always the risk involved, but what are some things that people could take into account to actually be successful when they launch their own business according to you?
So, according to me, and not that I'm going to pitch board sites again, but I would say get help. I mean, seriously, it's never too early, never too late to look at building a board, and leverage other people's skills and leverage other people's, experience. They might have been an entrepreneur, they might have been in a corporate world, but leverage that. And there's always a way to bring them on. A lot of companies will tell us, well, we can't financially afford bringing on an advisor. There are ways to find it. There is equity in companies. When you start, you can pay advisors with equity, you can mix it in. But I would say first thing you need to do if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're new to being an entrepreneur, is get some help, get some advice, and leverage their experience. And at the same time, you're going to learn so much that even if that business fails or something doesn't go right, you're going to build a network, and you're going to learn so much from those people that it will be motivating for you to continue in being an entrepreneur. No,
Well,
not
that's
everything is
very
a
insightful.
win.
Yeah, that's true. As in, like, you can't always win, and I think it's being prepared for the worst case
Yeah,
possible. So, as in, like, if it fails, for example, you know that you would have a support network from which you could learn. So, thank you so much for sharing that, Martin. It
absolutely.
was an absolute pleasure having you and learning from you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Take care.